Thank you for your curiosity. Today, we have a rising star in BJJ here in the Northeast, training out of Royal BJJ under the legendary Matheus Lutes. Aftab Ali. I think it should be Sikh, but I mispronounced that, and I'm so sorry.
Sikh, it's all the same. It's all good.
All right. I'm happy to have you, man. So we're gonna go ahead and dive right into it. So before we look into the current part of our lives, I typically believe that in order to understand the future, get a glimpse of what is going on in the present, and then really understand everything, we got to go back to the past. From the beginning, can you share some of the insights as to like what were you like as a child?
Yeah, absolutely. As a child, I would definitely have to say I was much more on the introverted side. Didn't talk much, was super shy, especially growing up. I was born in Pakistan, actually, and then I immigrated over here when I was 1 with my mom, and Pops came by later. I grew up in South Richmond Hill for close over like 13 years, and then moved my way over to Long Island. So just growing up, constantly having to move. I was definitely a much more quiet and like reserved, shy kid, but I've had a great childhood, a fun childhood. Can't complain.
That's fucking dope. And yeah, that's typically the way that it either is. It's either a hot-headed, rowdy kid or a very shy, quiet, like, okay, hey, hi, how are you? How do you do? So I'm happy to hear that you were the earlier one and not the latter, because the sparky kids, the other ones are like, oh crap, you in trouble.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm the oldest of like 3 brothers, so growing up, the house was an absolute, like, I understand why my mom is the way she is now. 4, 5 men in the house, it'll drive anybody insane.
Oh my god, yeah, no, she's right. I understand. I'm one of 16. So
one of 16?
Yeah, because me and my first cousins were all raised together in like that same little area. So this just basically we're just brothers, because if you're cousins by blood and then you're raised together every day, like that's your brother. But my actual brothers and sisters, I have 2 brothers and 1 sister. So those are my crazy people that I love. So they're fun. But what essentially sparked your interest into martial arts, and how did your journey into BJJ begin?
Honestly, I was never really into jiu-jitsu growing up or martial arts, but my curiosity was definitely piqued when I was watching Dragon Ball as a kid. I think that's definitely everyone's, like, every guy. If you're into like anime, it's like every guy's like first like show. There's just something about it. Just watching guys like fight all day, I was like, okay, this is pretty cool. Uh, I would like watch UFC when I was super super young, maybe when I was like 10, 11, but it never like really sparked my curiosity, because I would just watch it and I'm like, nobody's like shooting kamehamehas here. Nobody's like powering up. This is whack. This isn't cool. So I'd watch like WWE instead. But as I got older, I would definitely say during like the McGregor Rousey era of the UFC, I was brought back into martial arts. That's around the same time I was wrestling back in high school. I wrestled for 2 years, and within those like 2 years that I did wrestle, I didn't win a single match. I'll be honest, it was brutal. I fucking sucked when it came to competition. But in terms of the training room, I would definitely have to say it's what like built me to who I am today. Just consistently training, making sure I'm the best I can possibly be, and especially back in the training room, like for wrestling, there was so much, like, I felt like there was so much pressure. But honestly, looking back at it now, it's just like pressure I put on myself as it's like a young teen. You get like so overworked about small little things. Just super anxious about matches and whatnot. But yeah, I definitely say like things have changed from that point of my life to where I am now.
That's dope. So you grew up in Long Island, and you wrestled in Long Island as well?
Yeah, I grew up in Queens.
Right.
But I grew up in Queens for about 13 years, and then the rest of my life I've been here in Long Island. But yes,
Oh, there we go. It's all good. It's all good. So you grew up in Queens for 13 years, and then you go to Long Island, and then you wrestle in Long Island, correct?
Yes, correct.
Okay. So looking at it from that perspective, as somebody that comes from like the Long Island wrestling, because Long Island is one of the better parts of New York to wrestle. A lot of wrestling champions have come out of there, and it's a fucking tough place to grow up, But then you said you see the McGregor Rousey era, and then you're like, okay, this MMA shit's kind of dope again. How do you get into the first like jiu-jitsu session? Where does that come in?
Honestly, my first jiu-jitsu session was at Gracie Baja. I was there for roughly about 3 months before I went over to Royal, like full time entirely. But my first jiu-jitsu session was just like, it just seemed super interesting. It was kind of like I left a chapter like, not fully finished, and I wanted to make sure like I got the most out of like wrestling. I just felt very unfulfilled after like those 2 wrestling seasons. You can imagine you put in so much work, you're training super hard every day, and nothing's really materializing. Wasn't winning like a single match. It was just a whole thing where I just wanted to come back much stronger, and every single time I tried to, I just kept getting knocked down.
Yeah, I can relate. I had a terrible wrestling career. I think my wrestling coach would tell everybody, like, technique wise, beautiful. Execution, fucking just a disgrace. It was just horrible. I had 2 left feet. And then, the worst part, I have older brothers. All my older brothers were far superior wrestlers than me. One had won New York State, one won county. I was just devastated because I suck. So I understand that that's like a lot of stress. And then you're like, you know what? I want to win this shit. It kind of reminds me of Nicky Rod from B
Yeah, yeah,
Team.
yeah, yeah.
He went to college. He said that he just wasn't at that level in the NCAA because the lower, I think it was a D3 school. And he said that he just was getting fucking demolished. He was like, oh shit, I am not doing great at this.
No,
So
100%, man.
I can see where that comes in. But then you have a renowned figure in your team, Matheus Lutes, a phenomenal jiu-jitsu practitioner, widely respected. Can you describe what it's like working with them, and also what kind of influence is he kind of giving you in your training?
Yeah, absolutely. Mateus is definitely a dog, especially just when I first met him. He just has this like general sense of like command when it's like when we're training hard, when we're doing our hard training sessions. It's just like that's like the general, and he's definitely a super hardworking dude. Especially as a coach, he puts in all these hours to make sure everyone that trains at Royal is like equally like gives the equal amount of attention, make sure everyone's good. I remember during Ramadan, we were having our Ramadan classes. He would come teach at like 11 p.m. and then he would also be teaching at 6 a.m. So he would just sleep at the gym for like a few nights throughout the week. But it was like that's something that nobody needs to do. But like if you're a coach and you truly do care about your students, he made sure that everyone just was just like getting the equal amount of attention.
That's fucking dope. That Ramadan, yeah, Ramadan is a really tricky time for everyone, especially if you're a non-Muslim. It's like shit. Like you love your friends, but then they're like they have certain rules, and you're like, oh shit, okay, right, this is this, and it's to the point that a lot of people in New York we understand the culture really well. I think there's a video on Instagram. I can't remember what the name of the person who made it. Forgive me for it. But there's a video of one of the brothers coming in and he goes, brother, give me a sandwich right now. And he goes, it's not time. And he's looking at the clock and the guy goes, brother. And he starts speaking in Arabic and he goes, I saw Allah. And I don't want none of that problems with your God, bro. So you better. And the dude is freaking out, pissed off. He's like, brother, it's 2 minutes. He's like, then you wait those 2 minutes before I start cooking for you. I don't want no beef. I started dying. I was like, man,
Really how it is, man.
As a New Yorker, because you know the culture, you're like, ooh, I am not pissing you off for the next 3 months. I don't want no beef. We're good. We're gonna stay at peace with each other, and I'm gonna move the fuck on with myself. So
Especially
the fact
New
that
York, man, it's crazy. It's
I can't
like
imagine.
a community too. Like everyone just looks out for each other.
Yeah, I think we're really more. It looks pretty divided everywhere else, but in New York, we're very united. We love and respect everyone's culture. We want to learn the food. We need to understand okay, why do you do that? Because of this and this. All right, cool. So I'm gonna fuck off and not do that shit ever again. My bad. So I think that it's a little bit more easygoing, but the fact that, Coach Lutes, shout out to the professor for stepping up like that, man, that's a fucking tough thing to do. Speaks volumes to what kind of a coach he is. But let's get back to your career because so far it's a budding career, man. Like you're a blue belt now, and I've seen you doing a few super fights now. And are there any like particular athletes or fighters whose techniques like you've either admired, or, like you've studied and gone, this is kind of more my game, and this is something that I would like to incorporate?
I would definitely have to say I really look at like the Rotolos. I would have to say like Rotolos, Nicky Rod, J Rod, those guys. And then like I kind of remember like these moves are so cool. And then I remember my weight, and I'm like, we got to get the weight down if I want to hit the cool stuff. But I definitely, the Craig Jones, the flashy guys. It's just something super cool about watching those guys and like trying to be able to like incorporate that into my own game. Where somebody's like, "Hey, look what he did. That's pretty cool." It just like it also like if you've ever played a video game and you're playing through like a main quest and you hit something cool, and you see like that little check on the side objectives thing. It just feels like something very similar to.
Yeah, I can see that coming too. And, the Rotolos and a lot of the guys from B Team, the stuff that they do, I think anyone can hit it. It's just like you just have to be really, really like dialed in to hit it. It's so unique in some ways. Like both the rods Jay and Nikki. Some of the shit that they do, I'm like, holy crap. Nikki, we're at the halfway mark of our episode with Aftab Ali. Of course, he's a wonderful guest. We just wanted to remind you to like, comment, and subscribe, as it does help the channel. And of course, to remind you that we are not officially sponsored yet. Looking for a sponsor at this time. But we do have an affiliate link with Sandoval. Sandoval makes premium MMA gear at affordable prices. You can use the checkout code GOTDAM, GOTDAM. No, not the one your mama said you can't say. Make sure to use it, get 10% off, and it also helps the channel. Now, back to our episode. Definitely is for like a bigger player. But J-Rod does a lot of shit that I'm like, I wasn't prepared.
Yeah, definitely.
But, so right now, as of your current career, you've competed in Battle BJJ. You did in Naga's events most recently. Chronic Combat, which is fucking phenomenal and rapidly growing. Which event or show have you enjoyed the most and why?
I would definitely have to say between Chronic and TAT. Those are two like sub-only organizations, and just the way they treat their fighters, it's amazing. Oh, also like a shout out to Valhalla. It used to be Choke and Toke. Those guys, they're sub-only events, but they treat their fighters with like so much respect. Make sure the fighters are good. They promote their fighters, and it's just a great time. Great communities, especially. Of course, you're like so like dialed into when it's gonna be your match, but you get to watch all these guys scrap. Whether it's like whether it's after you or before you, it's a bit inspiring, to be honest.
Yeah, that sounds fucking dope. I didn't know about Valhalla. I know Chronic Combat because they're big here in Westchester and they do so many events, and we have teammates from Legends that consistently compete there. Well, speaking of consistency, you just got promoted to blue belt in March of this year, but I think your competition schedule picked up immediately after you became a blue belt. It's intensified some. Can you tell me about like upcoming events that you have planned? Can you tell me about upcoming events that you have planned or any events that you're going to be participating in over the summer?
Yeah, absolutely. So far, I'm doing. I have Valhalla July 27th. I believe I have IronMan Grappling August 10th. And then from there, I'll just be, if another Chronic rolls around, I'll be signing up for that. I believe there's a local Naga going on in Rock Island, I'll be there as well. And if any ADCC opens pop up, I'll be competing in that. It's nice to officially be a blue belt because for a little while I was kind of lying on the registration forms for some super fights as a white belt. And but it's nice, now I can officially start getting like another blue belt matches, purple belt matches, being able to face like a higher level of competition as well.
So wait, you went and did those super fights at white belt, and then you were telling them, oh yeah, I'm a blue belt, like there's no problem, I'll compete with them.
I believe so, yeah. I believe for some of them, for like a while, it was just like not necessarily that I didn't want to go against like another white belt. I was just like itching to get to that next level of competition, and I just made sure like if I could get like I believe there's definitely a bit more blue belts than there would be white belts at like my current weight, so it was just a bit easier to get opponents that way.
That makes sense. Did your coach say anything when you registered as a blue belt, or did he just kind of go with it? I don't think he noticed.
Might be getting over that, but we should be good. It's all right. We won those matches. It's fine, right?
Hey, as long as you won, you were like, what? The guy is a blue belt? Why are you facing the blue belt? Then you're like, don't worry about that, coach. Just win. But man, what a hell of a schedule you got coming up soon. I know that you had talked about a rule set like ADCC Opens. You definitely want to do that one. That's one of the major competitions. Just so that I know, how do you feel about CJI?
I think it's a super dope event, to be honest, man. To have be able to essentially monetize grappling and have like these grapplers come in and be able to not just like get paid, but have like a crazy amount of marketing to the level that ADCC is at. I think it's better for the sport. The more you have, the more essential like competition there is for like different types of like grappling groups and whatnot. I believe it's just better for the fighters. More money is better for everybody, right?
Always good to have more money in the game. But speaking of those rule sets and competitions, like you said, ADCC is one that you like. Are there any other ones that you're inspired to like go for, like a combat jiu-jitsu, potentially, if CGI ever happens again, something to that effect?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I would definitely love to try a combat jiu-jitsu match out, but I feel like I get slapped once, I'll be like, I'm just straight PTSD back to my childhood, where mom and whatnot. But it'd be like, it'd definitely be dope to try it. But I do like trying out different rule sets. But I've definitely kind of like found my setting in sub only. It's definitely nice, and I do believe like that might be like moving forward. That might be like essentially like the future of the sport, like EBI rule set, sub only rule set. But I'm always down to like try different rule sets out. It always keeps things fresh and fun.
Yeah, I thought the same thing too about how it looks like sub only is the biggest one right now as far as the rule sets overall. I think with combat, because of combat jiu-jitsu's popularity with Eddie Bravo being in there as well as EBI, I think those rule sets definitely make the sport much more interesting when you have something like this where you get a definitive winner and not like, oh, this person outpointed that other person by sitting there and just kind of holding the position. Because it does get boring. I mean, look at, college wrestling now. They give more points than ever before for multiple things.
That's true.
I think takedowns are like 4 points now. And I was like, whoa. Watching that last NCAA finals, me and my family were sitting on the couch like, did I just see that correctly? Did he just get 4 for the takedown?
4 is kind of crazy. I remember like back in high school wrestling, my coach would always say like 2 is 2. Stop trying to do the flashy shit. Just get your 2 points. But,
right.
That's still that's pretty cool to hear. Like 4 points is that changes the sport entirely, to be honest.
Yeah, it seemed to be like a more aggressive pace during the NCAA Division I finals, which is something that we definitely want to see more in wrestling. Wrestling definitely doesn't get its flowers like it should. It's starting to, but just like jiu-jitsu now is really getting its flowers. It's super popular the world over, knows what this sport is and everything that goes into it. But speaking of jiu-jitsu, what are your current goals for your Brazilian jiu-jitsu career? I know it's still young and budding, but what is it that you're trying to achieve at this time in your career?
Honestly, just keep having fun, keep competing, just grow to be a great competitor, and just honestly, just have fun. I know it sounds like a crazy goal, but it's just a goal for me at the end of the day. It's just to continue to compete, have fun, and just grow as a competitor, and one day maybe grow as like a coach.
That's fucking dope. And yeah, I think that once you stop having fun at something, you no longer really want to do it. You're kind of like, this shit really ain't for me. But if you continue to have fun in it, you can always evolve and get better. I think that's why a lot of fans resonate with someone like a Craig Jones. Craig Jones is a guy that's having a good time. He's eating his cake and then whatever the fucking phrase is, having his cake and eating it too. Excuse me, but like that's what we want to see in the sport. Not people that take it so seriously. Just be fun and be yourself and have a good time. So to hear you say that is fucking awesome, brother. To get an extremely successful career. Currently, do you have any sponsors at this time?
Currently, I don't believe I have any sponsors at this time. I do have the local hookah lounge, Venom, as a sponsor, as I'm shooting this podcast in their backyard. But outside of that, not really any sponsors.
No, but you should definitely shout them out. So shout out to the hookah lounge. Where are they located?
Jericho Turnpike, towards Queens Village. Great spot. Good hookah. Great desserts.
Yeah, I believe the desserts. My wife and I went to New Jersey, and my wife really loves Middle Eastern desserts. So we went to Nablus Sweets, and that was a big mistake for me because now I want to go back. And I can't afford. I did. We got soft kanafa and hard kanafa. My wife destroyed her pieces in like no time. And then she destroyed one of my pieces, and I had to look at her like, excuse me, ma'am. So that caused a little dissension in my house for a little bit of time. We're still looking, forward to Turkish coffee. That's our next big
I love Turkish coffee. There's nothing like Turkish coffee and Turkish tea. Like that's my biggest thing. If I have some baklava, some Turkish tea, I'm set for the day.
Yeah, I gotta get on the wave, brother, because I've been hearing so many good things about it. My wife showed me a video, and now I'm like spoiled and throwing up fit because I want some. So gotta try that as well. Is there any, looking into the future, are there any like potential sponsors or companies that you think you align with really well at this point in your career, or just down the line you would like to work with?
Honestly, I definitely have to say, like whatever sets its way towards me, I'd be more than like willing to like work with, especially if it's a bit more of like my style. It's like a brand like out of New York, that just resonates with me, to be honest. Nothing yet, but I'm definitely looking.
Okay, that's dope, and we definitely want to hear that. Speaking of IGC, because IronMan is getting a lot of heat now too. Do you feel like, is this going to be your first IGC event or your second?
Yeah, this is my first IGC event. The match just got announced like today, like 6 hours ago today, so it's pretty cool.
Okay, and how do you feel going into that event? That one's usually in Connecticut, correct?
Yeah, that one is, I believe, in Windsor, Connecticut. Don't quote me. Might be like 2.5 hours, 2 hours. But I feel good. That's the thing. Just gonna train hard, train as I always do. Make sure I'm as prepared as possible. I have a tough opponent. Dude's a warrior, but we're gonna come in to the best of our abilities and do what we do best.
Fucking solid, brother. And do you feel like there's any pressure at all that you represent, your home of Pakistan and in the sport of BJJ? Because I know that there was there was some exchange previously with one of your opponents, and I know that was really nasty, and you hate to hear stuff like that. But do you feel like there was any added pressure to it? And then you seem to have dealt with it well, but can you kind of go into the details of what that
Yeah,
was that was
absolutely.
happening?
Sure thing. So that was a match back at Chronic. I had an opponent who was flying out, and it was just specifically like things were fine. But then there were some exchanges of words, some not so nice things that were said. And from there, definitely put a lot of pressure on myself. I think that's the most pressure I put on myself my whole life. I had the added pressure. There were like people from the community reaching out, like, "Hey, like just make sure you're good. Like don't do like don't let it get to your head." I definitely put way too much pressure on myself, and I definitely feel like my performance was affected because of it. Uh, when you have like that much pressure, you're not doing what you do best. You're just trying to you're you're taking things as they go, essentially, and like just moving forward from there, I kind of came to a realization that the next time I compete, like I will never have that pressure set on me again. I'll be fine. Like no matter what happens from here, that I truly compete best when I'm out there having fun, just doing my own thing. So that's how I'm going to keep it from now on. Just going to go back, go out there, do what I do best.
That's fucking beautiful, man. And yeah, I had a feeling that was the case because I saw the exchange briefly on IG, and then I was like, wow, that seems like it does have an impact. And anyone that thinks that it doesn't, you talk about Dominican Republic to me, I'm not gonna get phased up front, but deep down, I'm gonna be like, I bet when I whoop your ass, we gonna find out what you got to say then. So
Yeah,
I feel that kind of like it boils you a little bit, but then I'm happy that you took that approach. When it was all said and done, though, that dust was settled. How did you like make peace with the dude and like shake his hand? Because you seemed extremely cordial right after.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, he came out alone, and it wasn't necessarily him that was making those comments. Whatever the comments were made were from like another group of people, maybe his friends, whatever. I still have to give him respect as like a competitor. He came out here alone, flew all the way over here, and competed against me. And that in itself like deserves respect. So I just had to make sure, like, hey, we're good. Like, don't do it again. Please don't do it again. But outside of that, it's also like the essence of like jujitsu. Like you don't once things are done, you just want to leave them as it is, right? Like what more can be done after like a jujitsu match? We've had like we got the time that we would have to like either try to choke each other unconscious or break each other's legs. That didn't happen. It is what it is. Now like just move on.
It's fucking dope, man. So you're one of those people that you have like the very free flowing type of thing going, and it seems like you do your best when you're just having a great time. So that's always fucking nice to hear, man. Because again, the sport sometimes gets a little too serious, and then we're like, okay, it's a jiu-jitsu match. Come
Yeah,
on, man.
it's one thing if you're thinking like it's like an MMA match because there's like repercussions, there's consequences. You're getting kicked in the face, punched in the face, you could get knocked out, and then you just kind of remember it's just jujitsu. At any point you can tap, you'll be fine. Like it's nothing. It's really not that serious.
Right, and that's what I think a lot of people get wrong. I mean, back in the day, in like the '90s, yeah, maybe because those guys were actually trying to hurt each other. I think
Yeah,
the current jiu-jitsu athlete, like they know, like this, hey, I'm doing my best. I'm gonna get my check. I'm gonna do my thing. I'm gonna have a great time. So I'm happy to hear that. Last question for me, brother. Before I let you go, when it's all said and done, and you look at the grand scope of your career as a jiu-jitsu athlete, what is it that you want people to remember you for?
I would definitely say someone who had fun, like I said, but definitely in the sense of helping others. I definitely want to be able to like coach one day and help others. Just help others grow the same way somebody like Matheus has helped me grow. My teammates have helped me grow. Like my support system back at home, my friends, they've all helped me grow. Especially when it comes to like jujitsu. Sometimes I'll be down, and maybe like I don't have like a great showing at an event or a tournament. They're always there to like, hey, like remind me, like, hey, it's just another day. Like there's so many more tournaments, so many more matches ahead. Things happen, losses happen. It's really not that serious. Just keep your head up and keep moving forward.
Fucking beautiful, beautifully said, my man. So, future Professor Ali. That's gonna be a great fucking thing to see. We hope to see it go into fruition. Before I let you go, are you planning on doing like a vlog anytime soon? Because you seem to pretty document a lot of your training and a lot of your stuff. Will we be seeing any type of vlogs? Will we be seeing anything coming up from you about your career?
That's a great question. I have no idea. Maybe, maybe if I'm funny enough, we'll get like a vlog going because my jujitsu kind could be a little ass sometimes. Not gonna lie, so there's not much to be seen there. But the humor will make up for it.
Hey, the humor always makes up for it. All right, I'll tell brother. let the people at home know what you got going on next with the very next. I know you talked about it, but what the next event is, where they can follow you on the socials, and then we'll let you go. And we
Yeah,
appreciate you for your
absolutely.
time.
Next event should be at Valhalla Jiu-Jitsu on July 27th. My socials are Protein Shake at Instagram and on TikTok, I believe. And that's really about it.
All right, brother. So y'all heard it here first. Top, thank you so much for coming onto the show. For all of you watching at home, thank you for your time. Thank you for your curiosity. We'll link all the information on where you can follow this young prospect down in the description of the video. Thank you again for showing up. Thank you so much for your time, brother. And to all of you at home, keep your peace.
Thank you so much, my brother. It was great talking to you.
Got it, man.